Oh, the joys of technology. All right, we'll do without that. So, really good morning to everyone, and obviously thanks for having me here today. So I'm Matthew Edwards. I'm a product marketing manager from Aerohive, and I know what you're thinking. He just said marketing. So, as my title now says, he's in marketing. You have about 30 seconds to run away. Don't worry too much. Much like many of yourselves, my background until very recently looks something like this. This would be my typical working day, locked in a comms cabinet during summer with a very little speck of light out there. Someone in the company decided to utilize my other skills, which was marketing, and this is pretty much what I do today. I sit on a floor and paint pretty pictures, which you'll be seeing some of those today. So the main focus of today's session is really how to get the most out of your Wi-Fi. Both from a monetary point of view and an IoT point of view. So you get the best of both worlds. But really, it's the things that your customers care about today. When you're having the conversations, and I'm going to make a very controversial statement in just a moment. We're all familiar with this. This is the basic human needs, obviously recently evolved to include Wi-Fi. Obviously, everybody in this room loves Wi-Fi. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. However, here comes the controversy. I'm going to make a statement that probably resonates with most customers today. They just don't realize it. Nobody cares about Wi-Fi. Now, that's coming from a vendor who makes Wi-Fi, but nobody cares. Oh, yes, he did. He did not. Yeah, I just said it. Now, hopefully you haven't been supplied with anything you can throw at me, but what people really, really care about, and obviously we're all passionate about Wi-Fi. Customers believe they love Wi-Fi. They don't really love the RF signals that propagate through the air. What they care about is these things. They care about these things. They care about what they're doing on these things. They care about the applications that they're connecting with. And that's what we're really here to talk about. And just to show how much people actually care about their devices, their applications, on average, if we lose our wallet, it will take on average 26 hours for us to report this stolen. However, if this goes missing from me, I don't know what these guys are talking about, but 68 minutes, I start panicking if I lose this after 30 minutes. I wake up in the morning, and statistically we're all the same. How many of you wake up in the morning and check your phone as the first thing you do, or at least within 15 minutes? It's just natural. It's quite scary. And there's this whole world now of where's the separation between work and play? I wake up in the morning, I've got my corporate phone, and I will check Facebook, I will check social media, but I will then check my email. I then do the same on my personal devices sometimes. And let's admit it, when we go to work, we do exactly the same thing. We're on our corporate device, we're all busy working away, but we do personal activities as well. And that's why things like application visibility and control are really important today. So although your Wi-Fi networks are providing more visibility into you, to your customers, what we're doing, what we're up to, it's not purely about spying. It's not just about the big brother world. It can have some real benefits to it. And what are some of those benefits? So when we look at this from a monetizing point of view, retail is the obvious choice where we can start maximizing the value out of Wi-Fi. But there are so many applications where you can get not only money, but value from your network. So when you're talking to your customers, it's really important to have the conversation about what you're trying to enable. It's not about purely the math and the science behind Wi-Fi, and that does have its place. But as you talk to certain people within an organization, it's about what you are trying to achieve. So if we look at what we were doing yesterday, this is probably the dull, bland supermarket that we went to. We're obviously fast evolving from that. Today we have so many different ways of engaging with our retailers, our providers. From our point of view, it's how we engage with our customers. Obviously, we know we can go to the physical store, but we see so many physical stores dying today. We see a lot of online retailers dominating the market. There is still another place, though, for other collateral. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I wanted to share it because it really makes me smile. Is anybody familiar with the brand new technology that is the book? Absolutely brilliant.
No.
Oh, sorry.
Something that changes.
How do I turn this one on? Is it on? Cool.
Just the way we live. A device so simple and intuitive. Using it feels almost familiar. Introducing the 2015 IKEA catalog. It's not a digital book or an e-book. It's a book. The first thing to note is no cables, not even a power cable. The 2015 IKEA catalog comes fully charged and the battery life is eternal. The interface is 7.5 by 8 inches, but can expand to 15 by 8 inches. The navigation is based on tactile touch technology that you can actually feel. Content comes pre-installed via 328 high-definition pages of inspiring home furnishing ideas. To start browsing, simply touch and drag. Right to left to move forwards, left to right to move backwards. Notice something else? That's right, no lag. Each crystal clear page loads instantaneously, no matter how fast you scroll. If you want to get a quick overview, just hold it in the palm of your hand and using just your thumb, speed browse the content. If you find something you want to save for later, you can simply bookmark it. And even if you close the application, you can easily find the bookmark again. Amazing. What about multiple users? For that, we've introduced a simple color coding system to avoid confusion. If you want to share a particularly inspiring item, you literally share it. Another special feature is password protection, which is voice activated. Excuse me, that's mine. At IKEA, we feel that technology this life enhancing should be in the hands of everyone. So the 2015 IKEA catalog is free. You can download one from your mailbox, the one you open with a key. If it's not there, try refresh the next day. Or you can upload yourself to the IKEA store and find one there. Experience the power of a book.
There's still room. I absolutely love that. Absolutely brilliant. Share it with your customers as well. Fantastic video. So, obviously that's not real technology, but there are lots of ways in which you can enhance the value from your shopping experience, enhance the value of customers. But it is scary, specifically when we look at retail and we look at the big brother mentality of what you can achieve out there today. So if we're actually looking at some of this, we'll know a lot of this already. We've got the whole concept of online shopping. But now the smart retailers out there are saying, okay, we know that people are online, but there is still value within the physical store, whether that's for a collection service. Many stores today are actually becoming like a showroom, where you actually go in store, you browse, everything's laid out perfectly. It's neat, it's tidy. Think Apple stores. But then you go online, and that's when you make your purchase. Or you're in store, you're doing in-store online comparisons. You've got interactive signage, you've got your typical customer Wi-Fi, which we'll talk about more in a minute. And now retailers aren't chained to the desk. They can freely move around and fully engage with customers and provide real value to them. And if we look a bit more into this, some of the new technology that's coming out today, things like iBeacon. If you go onto the Aerohive website, there's some fantastic blogs from Matthew Gast, specifically around this technology. And it's really enhancing the way, again, that we engage with customers, but in a very subtle way, collecting information. So what we can do, say from an Apple point of view, we can natively connect people onto the Wi-Fi without them saying, oh, I've got to enter this information, I've got to enter that information, I've got to give away information about me. Because people are smart, they know nothing comes for free. This also gets around the whole I'm Mickey Mouse logging in. When they actually connect to the network, they can just simply say, accept the terms and conditions, great, I'm on the Wi-Fi. And if they're using an Apple device, for example, they can then download their pass into their passbook. This is a native app that exists on all your iOS devices. And then that lets you freely into the Wi-Fi. And now this provides two benefits. One, for the supplier, it means you can start engaging with the customer and collecting information about them. But from the customer's point of view, it means that they can now receive things like offers. They can be rewarded for their loyalty. It gives you that value experience when you walk into a store saying, hey, welcome back, Matthew. Great to see you. Here's 10% off. You've accumulated X amount of points today. Really, really exciting stuff. Proximity beacons as well can say, okay, if I'm within, say, 5 meters of this particular area, it means I'm in the sports section. If I'm stood a few meters away from, let's say, some lovely high heels that I'm looking at, then it can say, hey, Matt, I know you're into high heels. I'm like, whoa, keep that secret. But I can then be given, say, 10% off these high heels. That was a terrible example. Some scary reason that came off the top of my head. Ugh. PlayStation. If you're looking at a PlayStation. Right, there we go. And I can get these kinds of offers. So again, it gives you that brilliant experience. I can then say, right, I'm looking at the PlayStation, and I want some more advice. You can actually call for an advisor. And again, because they've got that information about you, they can walk up to you and say, hi, Matt, did you need some help? You don't have to have that experience where you're in a store and you're chasing someone around going, oh, please can you help me? No, it's gone. No, I'm just going to go home. Or just look at it online. So retailers are really reinventing the way that they interact with customers. And it's a really exciting time for that. The other thing you can do with other applications, again, some native, some you have to download. There are various ways, and I really encourage you to speak to suppliers out there today. You've got this endless aisle app, which allows you to simply check pricing or check stock of a particular item simply by scanning a barcode or QR codes. Really allows you to utilize your mobile device. Deloitte actually did a survey not too long ago, and it says if you adopt mobile technology, you allow this into your store and you fully embrace it, well, actually, the chances of a purchase actually increases. So if you're engaging with people, allowing them to use their mobile device rather than fighting it and saying we've got the online world, we've got the physical world, get the best of both, and you're actually more likely to obtain a sale. Of course, we have the more traditional methods. Things like captive portals are things that we absolutely love out there. Now, obviously, for people in the room, this is a no-go many of the time. We try to encourage people not to use captive portals. But imagine if you're trying to make a simple experience for your user, you're trying to obtain information about them, give your customers value for their deployment, get that ROI. Captive portals can be an absolute brilliant technology. Again, can still be implemented securely. Usual things, you can customize them, allow people to log on, they can connect with their phones, receiving SMS credentials. We've got the social plugins now, so we can log in with Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever it may be. And then once you authorize this sign-in with this application, that's when you start to get the value from a customer point of view. So you log in, again, you can get rewards, and then on the back end, this is where the business value comes into it. So you can start to do the analytics. You can understand who's in your store, how long they've been there, what they've been doing. Focus on the demographics. Start to understand and pull information in from things like LinkedIn or Facebook about who this person really is. Now, it all depends on the privacy settings, of course, of people within their social login accounts. But you can start to obtain information even like their date of birth, their gender. You can then start correlating that with people in certain stores, create marketing campaigns around that. So that's really exciting and a powerful use of technology. And the analysis just keeps going and going and going. Even if people aren't actively connected to your network, you can still start to understand more information about the people around there. So you can say, we know most people have a smartphone. Hands up in the room if anybody does not have a smartphone. Okay, that's the expected answer, right? For two reasons. One, we all love our devices. We've probably each got at least 3 or 4 in this room alone. The other reason is because if you didn't have a smartphone, you'd probably be too embarrassed to admit it. But we've all got them. And as we know, from a Wi-Fi point of view, these devices advertise themselves 10 times a second saying, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here, I want Wi-Fi, we all want Wi-Fi, we're hungry for it. We can now start to utilize that information to capture important data metrics. We can say, okay, we've got 100 people here. They're advertising themselves out into the world. What do we want to know about them? Well, are there peaks in the time of day when people are in and around my area? So we don't even have to have these people connecting to the network. We can simply collect information from these devices that are just saying, I want to connect to Wi-Fi. So if you're walking past my store, you're not even connecting, I can still collect that information and use it from an analytical point of view. I can understand, okay, 200 people walk past my store in 1 hour. I can then understand, someone went, whew, hey, there's Matt again with these high heels. He stopped, he saw something on the billboard that went, this is interesting. We can understand how long Matt actually stayed there for. We can then understand, did Matt go, right, I'm going to go in and take a look around. And if I went in and took a look around, how long I was actually there. We can then understand, does Matt return? There's a lot of valuable information that can be collected from this. If, say, we're running promotional activities at a particular period, we can understand, is this increasing footfall traffic in the store? Obviously, we can understand the transactions through the till, but understanding how many people were in that store to actually lead to that transaction is also really, really important. And it's not just from a retail point of view. There's two ways we can look at this. Obviously, we can start identifying people. We can engage with people at many levels. So as I said, in the retail world, this works really, really well. The other thing you want to focus on is the business value. As I said, people love their Wi-Fi. They need that connectivity. But it's what they're actually going to do with the connectivity that really makes a difference. So back in 2009, a long way back from a technology point of view, but in the business world, when we used to focus on what was important to us, we would say CapEx and OpEx is key. When we're investing in technology as an organization, this is what we care about. We want to reduce our CapEx costs. That's where the birth of the cloud and everything else came from. But now, as we start to move forward to 2014, we see a very different shift. There is still importance within CapEx and OpEx, but there is a much greater emphasis within organizations on obtaining value from their deployment. Wi-Fi used to be deployed purely to get people connected in hotspot areas, boardrooms, conference rooms. Now we walk into a building and we just expect there to be Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi now isn't just about connectivity, it is about so much more. We're starting to obtain money from it from a business point of view, where we talked about all the great things in retail, but from an organization, from a business day-to-day, we're starting to see real emphasis placed on the value of ROI and TCO. So when you're talking to your customers, understand, obviously, what they're trying to achieve, but also encourage them to explore these other areas. People want you to walk in and say, this is what we're seeing out in the market. These are the great enablers out there today for your business, either to make money or to obtain real value. So make sure you really focus on the economics of deployments as well. So from a business point of view, this is possibly what our offices looked like 10 years ago, maybe still today. Many customers still live in the dark ages. But we have the potential to do so much more today. Things like mobile working, anytime, anywhere working, the business intelligence that can be gained from the applications that people are using. We want efficient, aware systems like lighting, air conditioning, etc. That's what the business cares about. What our job to do is enable that. We have a platform behind that, which is what IT cares about, whether it's BYD, analytics, application intelligence, the Internet of Things, where we can start getting that real value. What this boils down to is there are so many devices out there today. We've actually hit a shifting point now where there are more devices in the world than there are people. These devices have to go somewhere. These devices have to connect to something. So make sure that you've got solid, reliable, fast-performing, secure, scalable, all those great things in your infrastructure. Okay? And to go back to what we said originally, people do care about Wi-Fi. We obviously love Wi-Fi. We're passionate about Wi-Fi. Rah! But customers in your organizations, they don't realize it's just an enabler. They need Wi-Fi connectivity so they can log into Facebook, so they can check their mail, everything else that we talk about today. So, Wi-Fi is everywhere. We'll talk about that a bit more in a minute, the crazy places we see Wi-Fi. But one place I saw it the other day, I was coming here, we took the Eurostar across, and I was in the London Underground. And if anybody's been in the London Underground, which I imagine a lot of you have, or any metro system in the world, you are literally sprinting through there. It still amazes me how a train can come every 2 minutes, and you still see someone just going, just to make it on. And they will do that. It blows my mind. But as I was going down the escalator, I started to see an interesting sign. 144 stations in London are now Wi-Fi enabled. I'm thinking, this is crazy. I'm only here for a minute. This is literally my typical commute within London. obviously it's me in the suit. My usual landing. Now, he didn't actually stop then because he'd lost the person he was chasing. A beep went off. He had to check his mail. Now, that's my typical commute. But it baffles me sometimes, the places that that provide connectivity. And it's only going to grow. With the Internet of Things, we're expected to have 20 billion connected devices by 2020. And again, these devices all require connectivity. But they can enable some fantastic initiatives, some great value, again, for our customers. Now, when I think of the Internet of Things, and I see the value and what it can actually deliver, again, think about this from a cost point of view. Lighting systems, for example, they are getting smarter. I had a colleague who recently joined a company, which was a smart light bulb company. And this was actually formed from Tesla engineers and NASA engineers. And I'm thinking, light bulbs? And he says, yeah, there's so much you can do with it. Because now light bulb systems within your organization, we've seen it for years where you can walk into a room, lights automatically come on, but now it can be connected into systems that provide analytics, they gain intelligence, and they can make your systems more efficient, ultimately saving your customers money. Now, when I think of light bulb systems, and they were talking about, you can be walking down the street, light bulbs come on, light bulbs go off. If you see things like light bulbs being smashed out, you can do analytics again to see, sorry, smashed out, but blown out. You can say, is this just a fault of the circuitry? Is it just the bulbs gone? If there are too many bulbs going out in a particular area, we can see, is that vandalism, for example? Okay, it's a bit crazy. So me, when I started to hear that, I mean, this is typically what I thought. We're going to be walking down the street in a few years, we'll be lighting, looking cool, not quite MJ cool, but we'll be getting there. So IoT, again, can enable some great things. You can gain some great value from your customers. For your customers. But what we don't want this to do is turn into the Orwellian world of Mark Zuckerberg. Okay? We know, as Keith said, we're giving away information about ourselves. There's pros and cons to analytics. There's the whole world now of big data. Wi-Fi, again, is a great enabler of this because we have so much visibility of the network right at the edge. But we want to make sure that information is kept secure, it's used in analytics in a smart, intelligent way, and again, gains real value from your customers. So IoT is something you absolutely should explore, whether it's the air conditioning systems, the lighting systems out there. There are security systems. There is so much potential out there today. So again, focus on that from a value point of view. So here's always an interesting question. And I don't want this to be just me talking at you guys all this time. I've seen some Wi-Fi in crazy places and trying to deliver value, again, to our customers. And we have these conversations. You say, what are you trying to achieve? Or we tell organizations what they should be trying to achieve and how they get there with this smart mobile platform. The Wi-Fi in the underground, that made me smile. But it's not just about me proactively checking my email, etc. We've got so many devices connected to us that are trying to gain this intelligence, trying to retain that connectivity. I actually did a deployment probably 6 or 7 years ago now, where we had a Wi-Fi project. We were told on plan it was 10 APs. Like, okay, great. Drove a couple of hours with our access points, got to somebody's house. I was like, 10 APs for somebody's house? This house cost, at the time, £9 million. And then we were there to install the additional 1 million infrastructure in this house. One of the main reasons for having this infrastructure in the house was so the businessman could finish his day at work, be driving in the car, and go, you know what, I fancy a cup of tea when I get home. He could dial into it, and off he went. It was the birth of the IoT. Now, he spent £1 million to do that for something we could probably do for a couple of hundred now. But it's absolutely crazy some of the things we can do. In the home, we're starting to see all the great uses of IoT, and that is quickly transitioning into the business world as well. I've seen Wi-Fi installed, so we'll start to see who can outdo each other here a little bit. It's always exciting to see what we've got out there. We've obviously installed maybe 1 or 2 Wi-Fi deployments between us. So this was at a show we did recently. Our outdoor AP, Wi-Fish, we actually installed it in a fish tank. We're providing connectivity, admittedly not a great range. There are not too many use cases for underwater Wi-Fi just yet. Not too many devices that can actually go underwater. Although I did actually see a billboard the other day for the new Sony phone, which is can be fully submerged in water. Ridiculous, crazy. I've seen Wi-Fi installed on roller coasters for a braking system, would you believe? Hands up, as much as we love Wi-Fi, who would put their lives in the hands of Wi-Fi? Yeah. Getting there. Go one step further. I was working in a hospital once as well, in the UK, and they were having problems with connections. It was actually heart monitors running over Wi-Fi. Again, braking system, okay, well, I can kind of get away with that. Heart monitors over Wi-Fi, that was a new one for me. Obviously much more common today. This was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I walked in there and they were having trouble with connectivity, in the fact that if this Wi-Fi heart monitor dropped off the network, what would you expect the natural behavior to be? Probably panic, okay? Alert somebody, there's a device that's disconnected, I'm not receiving any information, probably means this person's in trouble. Or at least let's set that to the default. No. The default was, nah, I'm sure everything's okay. I mean, I'm a pretty relaxed guy, and I take the approach in life that it should be fine. When it comes to heart monitors, not so much. So this hospital actually missed 2 heart attacks off the back of this. Fortunately, the people were okay, which is why I'm quite happy to tell this story. But it's just, again, a crazy use of Wi-Fi. So this is what I mean about Wi-Fi being the great enabler. There is potential out there that we unlock, and as the IT industry, it's our job to create that platform for our customers and have these conversations and say, feed them, let them understand what they can actually do with their potential. So can anybody expand or give a different viewpoint on Wi-Fi? Anybody got any crazy stories that can outdo that, or even match it? So hands up, has anyone got an interesting story? And don't worry, I'm not going to make you stand up and do a mic. But has anyone got any interesting stories from their crazy deployments out there? Or really strange uses of Wi-Fi? Always interested to hear. Come on.
Sure.
Go on, Gregor.
Put an access point in the middle of the desert in Africa or Mongolia, whatever. Put it up and you'll have 10 clients connected to it. And you don't see anybody. I don't know what it is, but you see clients connected. And it's not my clients, by the way. I checked.
Exactly. Everybody needs Wi-Fi. Access everywhere. It's changing so fast. It's ridiculous. But the last thing to really take away from this is no matter what value you're trying to deliver to your customers, no matter how you're trying to engage with them, or they're trying to engage with their customers, as we mentioned, we have to plan for the infrastructure. And that's what the conversation really has to come back to at the end of the day. We have so many users, we have so many devices, and so many applications out there today. What this is ultimately doing is putting a massive burden on your infrastructure. And that's why it's so great to be working with Wi-Fi. It's a growing, exciting market that we're all part of today. But remember, it's the platform. And you need to have a stable platform that can support all these great initiatives out there. Otherwise, no matter what you're trying to do, it will fail if you haven't got that infrastructure. And when you talk to your customers and you're telling them about the great potential, the great platforms that you can have out there, if they haven't got the Wi-Fi there that is reliable, and remember, customers don't understand all the intricacies of Wi-Fi. Everybody has Wi-Fi at home, and they say, it's easy. Well, what's so difficult about rolling that out into the enterprise? You just add 1 or 2 more. Easy, right? Of course it is. So make sure, from a performance point of view, AC's out there. And we push AC. We say how exciting it is. But remember the old saying, if you build it, they will come. The more capacity you put out there, the more devices are going to go, I want more bandwidth. Same with the users, same with the applications. They'll go crazy for it, and quickly you're back to square one. So make sure that you are focusing on proper bandwidth management. You understand that everybody has to share. It's this little fight that people don't realize, okay? We're fighting over toys, we're fighting over applications. We're trying to obtain as much bandwidth as possible. So we all know it in the room. When you're talking to customers, this is why we need enterprise mobility solutions. We need to be able to identify who all of you are, what your roles are within the organization, how much bandwidth you are worthy of. Same with the devices. We're all carrying 3 to 4 devices with us, some corporate owned, some personal owned. Again, understand which device deserves more priority. Then layer on top of that again the applications. Understand which applications are most important to you, which ones you don't want anywhere near your network. And universally, we're going to say torrents. But then you've got some applications out there which are neither good or bad. Things like OS updates, antivirus updates. You need them on your network, but you don't want them to consume the bandwidth of other important applications. So again, appropriate restrictions are required in that environment. And then last but not least, the security. When we're trying to enable all of these users, devices, applications, make sure that you've got appropriate security. A goat is not an effective security dog. Remember that. Customers will never know that. If you put out there the best security advice to them in the world, as we mentioned before, they'll probably just go, I want the easy solution, but I want the most secure. Help them. Please help them. Their souls need saving. We need to understand, again, who's connecting to the network, what devices, what applications, prioritize, restrict accordingly. And guess what? When we throw the Internet of Things in there as well, it's going to completely change, again, the dynamics of the security element. So focus on bandwidth management, focus on security. That is the supporting platform for all the potential that we've discussed today. But ultimately, whether the customer is looking to actively monetize on their Wi-Fi, or they're just simply looking to gain an ROI, Wi-Fi is still important, and that's what they care about. Obviously, if anybody has any questions, I'm around all day. I've tried to keep the vendor hat off, obviously. Keith said, do be nice to vendors, so please be nice to me. He didn't say anything about marketing, so please feel free to rip into me on that point. Stir me, throw whatever you want at me. But if you want to understand, again, what people are trying to achieve out there, really effective conversations in any vertical to have, obviously, hook me up. LinkedIn, Twitter, all that usual stuff. I'm trying to get better on Twitter. I'm really bad on Twitter. But my handle's there. If anyone wants to have a little conversation, then there we go. So that's me. So thank you very much for listening to the IoT monetizing Wi-Fi extravaganza. Thank you very much. Yeah, sure.
How is it all going to work in practice when I'm walking, say, in the UK, there's the cloud Wi-Fi, and I'm not actually connecting to any shops necessarily, or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So how do they know when I'm in there if I'm still connected to a different network? I get to connect to their network, and then it kind of it says to me, well, why do we need so many different networks for so many different shops? Because I'm not going to want to connect to all of them. I only want to connect to the ones I want them to shop in. So how do they kind of get around making sure they get the right customer connect to the right network when they're in the right shop? Because I don't know how. So
Yeah, there's a couple of different approaches, I guess. Obviously, every independent store has their own Wi-Fi network. The way they will promote it is through what you can what you can get out of being connected to the network. So there is this process of having to reconnect to certain networks. Obviously, if I've walked into Game or HMV or any store like that, if I know there's a promotion that can be obtained by simply connecting to that network, if someone tells me you can save 10% just by connecting to this network, downloading this passbook, downloading this app, or simply logging into this portal, I'm going to do it if there's no other way. From an analytical point of view, a lot of these devices and some of the things we talked about, you don't even have to be connected to the Wi-Fi. So from a customer loyalty and engagement point of view, yes, you would have to be actively connected to the network. What a lot of retailers are starting to investigate, and what you'll actually find is a lot of retailers, they look at these kind of stores of the future, but you'll be surprised how many haven't implemented it. A lot of retailers are building out the infrastructure for the Wi-Fi, and all these great initiatives, all these, the passbooks, the endless aisles, trying to obtain all this information, but they're not using it. They're all kind of waiting for everybody else to switch it on because there's still this fear of what happens with the physical world and the online store. And that's why we're still seeing so many shops closing. It is absolutely insane. So from the analytical point of view, you don't have to be connected to the infrastructure. We're simply collecting the beacons that your devices are sending out all the time. So we can start to gain the information about who's being connected, or who's in the vicinity of the network, how long they've been connected for. But it's more from an anonymous point of view. If, as a customer, you walk into a store and you want to actively engage within a promotion in a store, and the advisor says, right, this is the application you want, just download our application or connect with the passbook using our free Wi-Fi, then you would simply, you go for it. And obviously the next time you come into the store, you automatically reconnect. Now, one of the clever things within the beacon world is once you've got the passbook installed on your device, or there's an Android equivalent as well, it's native on your device. So we don't have to push information with an active connection. So say, for example, we've gone into a store, we've connected to the network, and it says, okay, you need to just accept the terms and conditions. And you go, okay. What that does is it downloads a passbook, or pass it into your passbook. And that sits natively in your device. Now, the next time you come in the store, and you walk close to what we call one of these proximity beacons, if it knows, and you don't have to be connected to the Wi-Fi, you can simply be within 2 meters of this device. When you're actually within that vicinity, the beacon goes, this is Matt. Send a notification to this device, simply pops up like, Facebook or SMS message, and says, welcome back, Matt. Here's a promotion. So you don't necessarily, in all these circumstances, have to be actively connected to the Wi-Fi. The reality is, when you've got shopping mall type environments, everybody will have their own Wi-Fi. There are some shopping malls that look to provide that connectivity because, as we know, once you've got so many independent networks, you get all the interference problems. This challenge as well of connecting to different stores where some are embracing it and saying, right, well, not you have to, but you can subscribe to our Wi-Fi as a whole, and then we can provide services individually. There's a few ways of doing it, is the long answer. Okay. Any other questions at this point? Brilliant. I also feel like a bit of a magician in this thing, so if anybody wants me to do a magic trick, I can do that as well. Brilliant. Thanks very much, guys.